There is a massive gray area in how modern weight loss medications are sourced, mixed, and prescribed today. On this episode of Second Opinion with Dr. Jesse Haggard, we are breaking down the exact mechanics of compounding medications. If you want to understand the strategic advantages, who holds the power to compound, how clinics are avoiding patient-specific prescriptions beforehand, and the optimal GLP-1 dosing schedules for weight loss, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hello, I'm Virgil and this is Dr. Haggard and welcome back to Second Opinion. Gosh, Jesse, it's been a minute since we've done one of these.
I know, we've been busy. We've been busy doing other things.
Really?
But we're back. We're back.
Yay! What are we talking about today, Jess?
Today we are talking about who can compound medication. So when I was halfway through medical school, they said, okay, you know everything you need to know to prescribe drugs. And I said, you don't even know how this stuff works. And they said, well, that's what pharmacists do. So I thought, oh my gosh, I think I'm in the wrong school. So I marched over to the registrar's office and I said, I think I need to transfer to pharmacy school. And they said, well, you can't stop medical school in the middle unless you're pregnant, sick, or join the military. So I joined the Army. I went to the Army.
Yes.
I went to the Army pharmacy program and I learned how to make drugs. And what was really interesting to me is I came back, finished naturopathic medical school after going through the pharmacy program, and I realized that if you look at the laws that govern pharmacy, they're the same laws that govern physicians and other healthcare providers. And most doctors and healthcare providers, such as nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, don't seem to know this. So I started a company with a good friend of mine, and we tried to bridge the gap on what doctors are allowed to do and what they're educated to do. So our company is called Compounding Doctors, but it doesn't really just apply to doctors. It also applies to nurse practitioners and physician's assistants. And basically, anybody who can make an IV can compound drugs from scratch. And most providers don't know this. But when you look at the laws that govern this whole topic, it's called the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, the FD&C, and it repeatedly has the wording physician or pharmacist, physician or pharmacist. And different states vary on as far as like nurse practitioners, mid-level practitioners, physician's assistants, and naturopathic medical doctors. But otherwise, if the laws where they're practicing in that state, if they allow them to mix an IV, they can make drugs from scratch.
Now, do you need to be licensed? Do you need to have certain...
Well, they already have a license.
Okay.
But that's the point, is they have a license to practice. They have a license to make an IV. If they have prescribing rights to make an IV, they can actually make drugs from scratch. There's like low level, moderate level, high level, or also known as risk, low risk, moderate risk, high risk compounds, but they can still do it. All they need is the know-how. That's it.
So let me ask you like this. So if it's all you need is a know-how, say that, okay, you went to school, you did all your stuff, and you want to hire 4 people to make compounding medicine. Do they need some kind of license, education? Do you need to show them from ding to dong how to do it? Like, how does it work?
Correct. They need to be trained and certified in each of those processes.
Okay.
But it's nothing compared to getting an actual license to practice medicine.
Okay.
Like this is super simple, comparatively speaking, to having an MD, a DO, a naturopathic medical doctor degree, a nurse practitioner's degree, or a physician's assistant degree. Like this is like super simple. This is like maybe a month's worth of work.
Oh, wow.
And then you can make all your own stuff from scratch and really start to delve into personalized medicine.
So let me ask you a question. I know a lot of the medicines that you guys make, Tell me one that is like one of the most complicating medicines that you have made.
Yeah, I would say one of the more complicating medicines to make as a compound is tirzepatide or some semaglutide with B6. And this is an interesting topic because when you look at the world of compounding and big pharma coming after compounders and even the physicians or healthcare practitioners that prescribe these items, they require a clinical level of explanation. So what's interesting is when all the GLP-1s, the semaglutide, tirzepatide, they got really popular very fast. And when they did, a lot of compounding facilities and practitioners were prescribing these with B12.
Got it.
To make it different in order to not impinge on the patent.
And make sure that they don't close down the house, right?
Yeah. So they didn't want to infringe on the patent. They wanted to make sure that they had a unique combination of medication, which is whatever the GLP-1 was, whether it's semaglutide or tirzepatide, plus a B12 added to it. And this was the most ridiculous argument I've seen in a long time in the compounding world. And the whole idea was when I called some of these pharmacies and said, why are you adding B12 to this? And they said, well, these medications make patients eat less. And if they eat less, they'll have less energy. And then we give B12 to increase the energy. Really? Show me one clinical trial that said that they had less energy. Most of the people that do these GLP-1s, they have more energy because they're in ketosis.
Yeah,
and they're bouncing off the walls.
Well, see, and it also makes sense because if you're taking these medicines and they're helping you lose weight, when you lose weight, you get more energy naturally too.
Yes and no, but it's an interesting argument. It's not backed up by any clinical studies.
Yeah.
However, at the time when we started making this, we added B6 to it because they had 50,000 people in these trials at the time 3 years ago when we started making this. And 83% of the 50,000 people experienced nausea. So B6 has been around for decades and has been shown to treat very effectively chemotherapy-related nausea as well as pregnancy-related nausea for decades. So the number one side effect, 80% of the people plus experience it. So I'm thinking, why don't we add B6 to the medicine and make it a less complicated thing? Make it a better product.
Yeah.
I feel like that has good clinical rationale. Not, well, it seems like people would eat less. Okay, well, did that show any signs in or issues in any of the clinical trials where people were complaining about energy? Not at all. It's not documented whatsoever. So when it comes to compounding, you need to have a clinical rationale. I feel like 83% of the people experience a side effect and you add something to reduce that side effect. That's good clinical rationale. And not the easiest to make. B6 is an acid. So when you add that to the actual solution you're working with,
measurements better be right.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated. It takes hours and hours to make it, more than if you just made it without the B6 in the first place.
But I heard a rumor that fast food chains and restaurants are suing these companies that are making this medicine because they're losing out on a lot of money. Is that true?
I don't know about that, but what's interesting is you see a lot of downgrading, like where we were in this whole plethora of everything's getting larger, supersize, gigantic size, whatever, clothing, food sizes. All this is now reversing. It's going the other way.
Good.
I mean, these are like massively changing our population.
Good. And, because I know here in the USA, everyone's over almost, what is it? What's the percentage of overweight people compared to other states,
Oh.
A lot.
I think those statistics probably changed a lot in the last 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it used to be, 3/4 of the population were overweight, half of them were obese. And I think that's changed a lot.
Yeah.
The other part of this episode that I wanted to communicate was when you learn how to make your own medication as a healthcare provider, you free yourself from a lot of the administrative rigmarole. And what I mean by that is typically physicians or other healthcare practitioners will order compounded medications from a 503A pharmacy.
Can you tell the difference between that? Because a lot of people understand a 503A and then the
503B.
Yeah. What is that? What
Correct.
exactly is that?
So a 503B is an outsourcing facility where you can just order medications for office use.
Okay.
Whereas if you order from a 503A pharmacy, you're supposed to have an interaction with a patient. And then you decide as a healthcare practitioner that this patient is a candidate for a compounded medication.
Got it.
You write the prescription or digitally make it, send it to the pharmacy, and they create it from scratch.
Got it.
So there's some interesting laws about this that nobody wants to talk about.
But we're
going to talk about
But
them.
we're going to do it.
We're going to talk about them today. Yeah, we're going to talk about them today. So here's what happens. And I'm not saying I didn't do this. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Confirm or deny. Confirm or deny.
But what commonly happens in the healthcare world of today, and this is 2026, just to date that. This has been going on for 20 years, right? Is when somebody comes to your office and you are using a medication on a regular basis that's a compounded product. Again, you're supposed to have this actual, patient-doctor relationship, and then you write the prescription, send it to the pharmacy sends it back, and then you give it to that patient. Doctor, that doesn't make any sense on a business standpoint whatsoever.
No.
When patients come to you, they want medication that day.
Now. Yeah.
Not in a few days. They want it that day.
Yeah.
And the doctors want to give it to them that day. So what happens is these doctors, all of a sudden, if you look at their patient records, their mom, father, sister, brother, they're all patients who have never received one medication. All the staff members are patients. They write prescriptions, send it to the pharmacy. And these people never receive these medications.
Wow. Wow. Hey, I got another question. This might be a little off the subject, but with trizepatides and all of these, do you think eventually there's going to be a way where they can get it prescribed, or not prescribed, their insurance will cover it?
Tirzepatide is covered by insurance if you're diabetic.
Okay, but you know what I mean by in general, obese people that are fat?
Not for weight loss.
No?
No, which is wild because if you look at obesity as a disease, it's a chronic disease.
It really is, because it'll kill you. You can die.
It'll kill you. Complications.
So many side effects and so many things.
And on average, people don't keep the weight off.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is last time I checked, insurance companies insure people for about 2.5 years. So it's not really in the insurance company's best interest financially to make somebody have less healthcare problems 10 years from now.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That's interesting.
That's real interesting. And it's kind of like, yeah, I could see it on both sides. I can understand. You know what I mean? It makes, you just made my wheels turn now.
Yeah. But going back to this whole idea where you have practitioners that are prescribing these medications, and in order to have them in their office, they're writing all these fake prescriptions to have it in the office. It's illegal.
Okay, so
it's illegal, and I'm not. Is it
allegedly?
Is it immoral? No. That's just how the business world works.
And it's all about customer service to your guests.
And there's customer service aspects. Yeah. And
that's insane. So
but going back to the laws.
But what will happen to the laws if they find out though? What will happen? Will their license get taken from them?
They would have problems with their medical board. Absolutely.
Wow.
Is anybody checking? No.
But
if push came to shove, and somebody came in and did something, there would be this issue, right? And that's where these laws that we're talking about, ordering from a 503B manufacturing or outsourcing facility, it eliminates these problems. Or making the medications yourself for office use. Because the other thing is, when they order these medications, especially if they order, let's say, a 10 ml vial of tirzepatide, right? The top, the big one these days, right? On average, that vial is going to have 20 doses in it. When you puncture that vial, like you flip the top off, you puncture it with a needle, you have 28 days legally by federal law to get rid of that vial. Otherwise, you throw it away.
So there's an expiration date on tirzepatide and all these things.
28 days.
Now,
once you go into it.
What if you don't pop the cap open?
Well, how do you get the medicine out?
Well, no, I know, but what I'm saying is, like, how long is the expiration date if, like...
On average, 90 days.
It's 90 days? Okay.
On average, 90 days.
Okay.
But that's not the problem. The problem is once you pop the top, you got 28 days to deal with it.
Yeah.
So you have 28 days to deal with it, and you have 20 doses on average in a bottle of compounded whatever, tirzepatide, semaglutide, whatever GLP-1. And how are you going to get rid of it if it's a patient-specific medication which you're not allowed to share that medication with another patient?
Yeah, that's kind of...
It's impossible.
So basically...
It's impossible.
So the doctors are losing money buying all of this and then not being able to use it, right?
No, it's illegal.
Oh,
No, it's illegal. The whole system is so screwed up that that's what's going on.
So is it just to benefit for clearly them and no one else? Is that what this is? Why they do?
I mean, who's they?
The government, the people that make these rules and regulations. Clearly, they're the ones that are making the money out of this, which is why these rules are set, right?
The rules are set for good reasons. They help protect people. A lot of people 20 years ago died in Arizona. They were making IVs in the same room that they were administering the IVs, and there was some bacteria that got involved, and a bunch of patients died. And that's why it's illegal now to make an IV bag in the same room where you administer it, because of this whole bacterial adaptation thing. It's a problem.
So what are things you can do to fix this issue?
Number one, I mean, you can do it. You can order for your mom, your dad, your staff, all the medications. You can share them with all your patients. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. It's not really a reason to do it if you could do it legally. Like, why not just do it legally?
Exactly. That makes sense.
Yeah. Order from a 503B pharmacy or make it yourself. And then you can do it for office use. You can willy-nilly it from one patient to the next. It doesn't have anybody's name on it. It doesn't have a specific patient's name. Like,
Just
that's only for,
name, right?
Yeah, just for office use.
That's cool. Okay, yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. I don't know why. If I went to medical school for 8 to 10 years, which I did, why would you risk it?
Especially after all that money you spent to get your license.
Yeah. Why would you risk it? Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. That's why we're doing this video.
Someone let us know, please.
Yeah, let us know. Like, what's going on? Like, why wouldn't you just order from a 503B or make it yourself? It's a really simple solution. Yeah. And I hear this all the time. So again, that's why we're having this episode, is because I'm tired of hearing it.
And now we're going to say,
watch the video. Yeah, watch the video. And order from a 503B manufacturing outsourcing facility or make it yourself. Really, really simple solutions.
Yes. And make sure you put the right shit in it.
Yeah. And they're not illegal. These are non-illegal solutions, which I know sometimes we talk about illegal stuff, and sometimes it's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, I own a go-kart or two.
That's awesome. So like, how do you know though if like with tirzepatide, okay, we'll say after you make it, like, how do you know they need to go to a higher level? They start gaining weight again, or what?
Oh, for dosing?
Yeah, because like you said, 10 milligrams is the main one that they sell. Right. But then when you up the dose, how do you know? Is it because they gain weight now and their body's used to it, or like, how do you know?
That's a very common question, and I'm glad you brought that up. When you look up the dosing schedule, you see this like bar kind of graph thing where it steps up. And the problem is that became diabetes medications for type 2 diabetes before they were approved for weight loss. So this every month or several weeks, depending on the medication, you up the dose like clockwork. It doesn't matter what the patient's doing. You just up the dose. And that's for diabetes because you're trying to control their blood sugar.
Got it.
But when you have weight loss as the primary objective and you're at a lower dose and it's working,
why up it?
Why would you up the dose?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So the strategy is called the minimum effective dosing, the MED. And when you look at that, it makes sense that if somebody is losing weight and they're on the same dose, even though they're on month 2, why increase the dose if it's working?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's cheaper. There's less side effects.
Yeah.
Why would you increase the dose?
What about, okay, so people that are diabetic, do you have to up the dose with them?
Typically, you need to up the dose over time in order to achieve their blood glucose goals.
So if it's diabetes, they raise it.
But the majority of these people are not diabetic.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's diabetics out there taking this like crazy.
Are there?
But
so with diabetic people, see, when I think diabetes, this is just because I'm not a doctor. When I think diabetic, I just think overweight people. Are all diabetics overweight?
No. There's a lot of
really.
There's a lot of
see. I didn't know that.
There's a lot of thin type 2 diabetics.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, their metabolism shifts. They're unable to produce an adequate amount of insulin, or they're insulin resistant. So with that, I feel like we covered order from 503B pharmacy for office use, or make it yourself, right? Physician compounding. Again, a lot of doctors, healthcare providers just don't realize that they're able to do this. They just need the technical knowledge in order to have, if they want to make sterile products, they need to know the parameters. You need to have a clean room, typically a clean room suite. It's going to have an ante-room, a full clean room. It's going to have HEPA filters, sterile air running through the whole facility. You're going to have to get garbed up in a bunny suit, coveralls, completely covered, and order from FDA approved API providers, active pharmaceutical ingredient providers. You need to have all your ducks in a row, your certificates of analysis, for all the raw materials, and then you outsource, typically in a third-party lab, your anaerobic, aerobic, and pyrogen testing, in addition to your purity. So we have all these things available step by step by step, and it's just a matter of knowledge.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope we entertained you, and we hope you educated you, and
don't be illegal.
And don't be illegal, be cute. All right, take care, guys. We'll see you next week.
Follow my podcast on drjessehaggard.com.